Going
At some point,
live.
I need to get up and get that light to turn on back on again. So it's going to get a little awkward.
That's okay. I'm actually bathed in light here. I've put all kinds of lights on my I'll be sweating bullets by the end of it.
That's the road I'm going to be going down soon.
Well, hello, Outposters. Welcome. I know it's been a while. We haven't done a live stream in quite a while. And it's not been because we didn't, want to or anything, but we kind of had to prioritize. And one thing was and I think many of you noticed, we've rebuilt the website and we've put it on a new hosting. And I think it's far faster and better now. That almost gave me a nervous breakdown. But so then I finished my own video, which you guys, if you haven't watched it, shame on you all. But it's out there, and you can watch it on the Last Movie Outpost YouTube channel, which is now /YouTube/ Last Movie Outpost, not that nasty little Sid. So we're happy about that.
Fantastic, and I want to parrot everything he just said. You absolutely should. You should follow. You should subscribe. You should buy our merch. Be sure to check out our Patreon. Become a member.
It's actually
check out
Subscribe Star.
OnlyFans for secret content.
Well, I don't think we have any OnlyFans. I think we will have anti-fans.
That would be fantastic if you could come up with a website that's basically anti-fans.
Yeah.
People
we hate you.
Fucking hate you.
Actually, they already came up with that. It's called Twitter.
Oh, right. Yeah. Cesspool.
That's
the demise of the
there. So, how are you enjoying the Civil War? Isn't it great?
It's a little less shooty than the last one.
Yeah, less uniforms, less shooty, but more Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, I mean it's got that rage factor. A good Civil War needs rage.
Yeah.
So we're definitely boiling in that old boy.
I'm trying to imagine like if the old Civil War, they're marching at each other and everything, and then there's a bunch of hipsters in the back with iPhones filming it.
You're basically, depending on which city you're in, you're basically getting that though.
That's exactly what's happening.
Mainstream coverage of any of it, which it's obvious you're not going to, but the few I've managed to see on sort of Instagram, because that's the only place I go to, and it's actually I don't go there for news, but no matter what, you get it shoved down your face. You can actually see that there are opposing sides, and just for anybody at home, these are the two sides. This side doesn't like this side, so they're going to fight. And what happens is they will literally line up in the street and then just go running at one another, and you see this big old melee. It's just like good old-fashioned 18th century battles. I don't think Napoleon or even Grant could have made them any better.
I feel like the soldiers we have in this war are much more soy infused, I guess is the word. They
have fair trade, non-GMO plastic tins of soy.
Yeah, it's not going to be as romantic as you're not going to read those dear wife, today on the front I lost my Wi-Fi signal. Jeffrey ran out of Starbucks. It's hell out here.
Mordecai can't find us any vegan fried soy chicken. And they're gonna call it the front, and you're worried where Chaz is, and your friend Byron.
God,
Byron had to go. He's a casualty because his parents would stop funding this.
Well,
his iPhone broke.
Well, I think it's wonderful that the election show has been renewed for several more days, possibly a month.
That you do TV, folks.
That's right. It's going to be it's getting great ratings, and people are just glued to their sets to see nothing come in. And by the way, your state is one of the problems here. I mean, entertaining, but
not if you live here, my friend. It is. There's nothing you can do about it, but you don't want to see your state get a bad name. You don't want to be that.
Everybody in Florida's going, been there, bud.
They learned their lesson the hard way, and Arizona's always been, spoiler alert, I'm in Arizona. Arizona's always been that it's a weird, wild, it is the literal Wild West. Everything you think of when it comes to the Wild West,
Yep.
that's still Arizona. It's a Rorschach test. Whatever. It's a shotgun blast of who the fuck knows? I don't know. We have elected truly incompetent governors, great governors. I mean, they learn their lesson the hard way. Probably not all the Gare governors. This is the home of Barry Goldwater. May he rest in peace. It's everywhere. We're all over the place, and it's probably because we're just so. Mexico, they have this saying: "So far from God, so close to the United States." Arizona's motto ought to be: "So far from the water, so close to California," because we get that, and this is a state of like 7, maybe 8 million people, and you can't count ballots in a night or maybe even a day. You just have to do we can't finish today. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do that. And it's like some states like Florida and Texas, they're basically moderately sized European countries. They got it done in a couple of hours. They stay on top of it. So what is it in Arizona that makes it different? Well, we're apparently a swing state.
Now, I'm not sure why, but apparently our stream setting is going to shit.
Oh, good. Weird. Put on your tinfoil caps.
Yeah, as soon as we started talking about the election, they started cutting us out. Oh. But the weird thing is, I said on the website that you have to go to the YouTube page to play it. Apparently, embeds are working for us now.
We're moving up in the world.
We're moving up in the world. I don't know why. You're supposed to.
We're too legit to quit.
I guess maybe it's one of those freebies. I really don't know, but we're not receiving enough to continue streaming. So I apologize for that, people. But I am recording it locally, so if you miss it here, I can always put up the recording later in pristine condition. So
has the rhythm changed? Is that what's going on?
It's probably changing as we're speaking. They said Arizona. Click, 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 click. We're talking about the election. Click, 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 click. Fuckers.
This state, it's crazy. This is the state basically linked probably forever, whether you like it or not, with John McCain. John McCain was not a fan of the current president. The current president was not a fan of John McCain. John McCain was the recipient of that false document. Whether or not he was actually involved, I don't know. That's up to you. But it came through him first. His widow endorsed the other guy. Yeah. The entire family, as a matter of fact, endorsed the other guy. The governor we have right now, who is termed out, who has kept the state basically as closed as any other Democrat state, they're suddenly having trouble counting votes. We have a population smaller than, Los Angeles to San Diego. I don't understand how it's possible. So this is just my theory. So the algorithm, you're going to be okay. My theory is what they're doing here is we're just going to wait it out. We're not going to move too quickly because we're okay if we lose. We don't really need him to win. It's that weird gray area. So what they're going to do is the big states, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, the Georgias, especially the Pennsylvanias, apparently, those are the big, that's where it's all going to be decided. But they still think you need the Nevada and Arizona to put you over the hump. So what we're going to do in Arizona, this is at least my theory, not anything I can necessarily prove. For the record, I'm very happy.
Cue the X-Files music.
But the theory is what we're going to do is we're just going to wait for it to be settled, and then we're going to come in at the very last second, once everything's done, and go, well, there's really nothing we can do now. That's too bad. If only we would have gotten it done right the first time, or whatever it is. The fact of the matter is, they're going to wait it out. You're not going to hear anything from here because they don't want them to win.
What's the old saying? Americans and especially governments will do the right thing after they've exhausted all other possibilities.
Yes.
So they'll get it fixed after they've completely fucked it up, and that's not just the government. I mean, I
everything, and everybody.
I work in companies. We talk about DR. That's one of the things I have to do is work fix disaster recovery. Well, okay, give me the money so I can do it. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Then the disaster happens. Why didn't we have disaster recovery? Well, we're going to have it now. Great. Yeah. Closing the barn door after the cows have left. That's great.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I've heard it. Where I work, it's been called accountability. It's like, well, we have that. Well, why didn't it work? Well, because the rules don't apply to everybody.
No. Nope.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's frankly, it's embarrassing.
So
it really is. But hey, on the positive, we raised taxes.
Oh, good. Well, we got a civil war. That's fun.
You know what it is? Like, we shouldn't call it Civil War II Electric Boogaloo. We should just call it the Troubles.
The Troubles.
It's kind of low intensity, really going to hurt. But most of you really probably aren't going to deal with it.
See, I'm still on the aliens bandwagon. Just nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
That's fine, but I'm really hoping for a baseball season next year, so let's not nuke all of it.
I'm talking about DC.
Oh, bye. See ya. Not even going to worry about it.
Nuke it from orbit. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can name another thing after Washington.
That's right. Who the fuck will miss it? Would you miss it? I wouldn't.
Hey, here's the thing. I've never even been.
No, I haven't either.
Mississippi might as well be Germany because I have, aside from the Civil War battles, I got next to no desire to go.
Well, here's this is so you guys are listening to us like, what? This is a movie play. Why are they talking about politics? There's nothing else to talk about, guys. I mean, I could talk about The Mandalorian. I already put up a review on it, and it was fine. It was fine. I liked it. It was a nice little diversion. It didn't blow my mind. It was another episode of The Mandalorian. Like, I guess I was slightly disappointed that for premiere episode, it wasn't getting off to a big start. It was a perfectly serviceable episode of The Mandalorian, and I'm okay. That's the closest thing we got to. I mean, they're putting out. My wife is in hog heaven because they're putting out every piece of crap garbage romance that Hallmark. They're just churning them out.
Yeah, I've seen the. Christmas is starting way too fucking early.
Oh man, they are just coming like.
Oh my! Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, they're going to be living large for doing next to nothing. You can make movies on the weekend now.
You turn on the TV and it's like getting hit with a fire hose of tinsel. Just
forget it. I'm still, despite everything else, I'm still 100% committed to a holiday season that's normal like last year's. But that ain't happening until after Thanksgiving.
So,
go ahead.
Indiana Peach, I'm if we're getting a comment, I'm going to respond because we could use all the interaction we could get. They want to know, he wants us to talk about Lord of the Rings some more. So I didn't talk about Lord of the Rings with you. Talked about it with my good friend, which I don't know if you watched any of those.
I managed to watch plenty of it. Yes.
Yeah. And they were fun. What I learned from that was, you cannot zoom a webcam. Don't do that.
Interesting topic. Let's talk about Zoom.
It's very bad. I did learn a lot about three
it's also
camera.
Very bad to steal Joe Boo's rum.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Go.
Oh yeah, I got the rum, guys. I got the vase. Got it.
By the way,
we're halfway through it.
We're going to be doing a taste test today.
Santan.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt here. My wife went for margaritas after our lunch date.
Okay.
And she went to go have a margarita at the beautiful Santan Brewery located in
Now, are those the? Did they
Hate
write
that.
on that on the back of that with a Sharpie? Is that the same Sharpies they used for the votes?
Yeah, and guess what? It didn't bleed through, so stop complaining. Because I used those stupid things and my vote went through perfectly fine. Anyway, I've got something I've never tried before. So we'll do a taste test in a little bit because we're here to talk about movies.
All right. Well, they want us to talk about I've got a second for Lord of the Rings by
Go. I actually really
Tile
like
Pilot. So
by the way.
okay, so you watched our discussion,
Yes.
and I assume you're pretty familiar with the movies. I don't know if you're that familiar with the books.
Full disclosure time. Let's really get to know one another. I, Dom, have seen the trilogy Lord of the Rings. I have heard the fantastic, as a matter of fact, I got it for a gift one Christmas. The BBC radio did.
I have that. I've heard that.
And I used to have it on tape. And I absolutely adored it.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. Some of the, I think I've said it before, radio is my favorite. And I think it's some of the best radio I've ever heard.
I think Ian Holm was the Frodo in that.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And I had a book, and I think I might still have it in my house, actually. It was the Maps of Middle-earth. But actually reading the books, no. I have never read the books. But I was able to keep up with the movies, and I knew what was going on. And I was a little surprised there was no Tom Bombadil.
So my friend, he is well into the books.
Yeah.
And you could tell. I mean, he's read the Silmarillion, which you got to be some kind of crazy to read that.
You're hardcore.
I read The Hobbit many times when I was young. And then when I first got my hands on the Fellowship of the Ring, I'm thinking, this is going to be great. And I'm reading through it, and I swear to God, I mean, after Bilbo goes, it's like, I said this in the thing, it's like 20, 30 pages of fucking probate. I'm like, what the hell? And then Bilbo left to the Sackville. I don't fucking care. Somebody stabbed somebody, So...
Use your magic sword, you asshole.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like,
Somebody
Millhouse,
get
when are they going to get to the firework factory? So I couldn't, I never picked, it took me until I was well into my adult years. In fact, I think it was after the movies came out that I finally picked them up and read through them again. And, once you get past some of that, I mean, it was much easier to read as an adult.
Yeah.
But I still think that I feel like Tolkien's work, there are some things that are better than the movies, and there are some things that are worse. But overall, I think Tolkien's work is it's a little much. I mean, there's just a lot in there, and that's okay for a book. I'm not really downgrading it necessarily. My issue with Floydo, was when there were things that he, weren't in the book that I felt like you got to do that for a movie. And some things I agreed with him on, some things he agreed with me on even. Like neither of us noticed the damn spider stabbing Frodo through the mithril.
Wait, that happened?
Yeah. Shelob stabs him through the mithril. And because he's wearing the mithril. But you just forget that he has it. Because then they go, because remember after...
We got a movie, we got to go.
Yeah. So, yeah. It happens in the book, too. So, I mean, that's Tolkien's mess up, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we came up with he got stabbed in the dick. But overall, I mean, I still think I think Peter Jackson is like George Lucas Redux. I think he made a fantastic trilogy.
Yes.
That really worked, and he had source material that was so dense that I didn't feel the length of those movies. And then he did the prequels. He did his own prequels, which should have been one movie, and he'd stretch it out to 3 goddamn movies. And those Hobbit movies are... I don't know which is worse. I don't know if the prequels or the Hobbit is worse. I really don't.
Well, I've seen the prequels. I'll put it to you this way. When they announced that Peter Jackson was going to be making The Hobbit into a separate trilogy, I went, Nope.
About
Heard that George Lucas was going back to Star Wars. I went, okay, I'm interested. And when I saw the Phantom Menace trailer, I think I've told you this before. When I saw the Phantom Menace trailer, I'm like, let's go. I have no desire. Well, I have no desire to ever watch any of them ever again. But I've at least seen the prequel trilogy. The Hobbit, I don't care. I've seen it on the various streaming services that I could just go click and watch it if I wanted to right now. Nope. Nah. You got it. You more or less got it right. And as a matter of fact, you were rewarded for it financially, critically, and with the pretty little statues they hand out.
Yeah.
So it's like, just stop. But you know what it is? It's the power of the ring.
Yeah, you needed to throw that ring into the fire.
You just let it go. You won an Oscar. You're the guy who made Bad Taste. You have an Oscar. Okay? The guy who made Evil Dead doesn't have an Oscar. The guy who made Bad Taste has an Oscar. Go off into the sunset, enjoy your pretty little island. But he's just like, no, he's got to go again.
I didn't have a problem with him making The Hobbit because it is a good book, and I think there is I struggle. I'm like going, well, which is worse, the prequels or the Hobbit trilogy? And I think it's probably the prequels, because if you fan edit The Hobbit, you can make a pretty tight, good 2.5 hour movie out of it. It has everything in there. You could do it.
Yeah.
You can't salvage the prequels. You can't. I don't think that. I think there's some overall good concepts in the prequels, which there are no good concepts in the sequels. So I'll give them that. But as far as salvaging that, because the acting and there's just too much that's bad. But
when you look at it, a performance, and I mean, I think there's nobody within the sound of our voice who's going to hear this for the first time. When you make a film that lazily, you can't fix it. So maybe you're probably right. You can take The Hobbit and hopefully somebody does, because I know people do fan edits.
I'm sure there is.
And it's actually really good. It's a 2+ hour film or whatever it is. It's actually not bad. But if you can do that with a Hobbit, okay, I'll sit and watch. I will watch that. And I know enough I'm going to be able to not get lost and just be disinterested. But how are you taking episode 1 to episode 3? I mean, you would have tonal shifts and performances and just god-awful, who writes this crap? Sort of just, I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I remember watching The Hobbit going, okay, it's getting along, going a little far. And then the goddamn, the wizard came out, the Radagast the Brown, being dragged by jackrabbits on a dog sled. I went, oh, God. Oh, there's no saving this shit. No saving it.
Well, you didn't have to wait very long, because there was a certain climax to a certain trilogy that is, to put it mildly, controversial, where even in the trailer, there was a cavalry charge on a Star Destroyer.
That's true. I forgot.
Okay? This is the charge of the Light Brigade in the middle of who knows where.
Why are you making me remember that?
And I didn't, by the way, I still haven't seen the movie. And my son hasn't forgiven me all the way for taking him to Last Jedi. That actually is a true story. I used a form of punishment. I have to keep the kids in line every now and then. They like to act up. I literally told them, you keep this up, and you are going to be sitting through The Rise of Skywalker.
Well, that is the
exact problem.
The bastardization of characters is exactly what I talk about in my last video. So I'd be interested to get your opinion on it when you get a chance to watch it, because it's what I noticed was that the Star Trek trilogy, and when I say the Star Trek trilogy, I'm talking about Khan, Search for Spock, and Voyage Home, has the same exact beats and structure.
It is fantastic
as the Star Wars trilogy.
Yes.
They
What?
Yeah, the original Star Wars trilogy. If you look at them, I know you're going to look at X-Scans at me, but I'm telling you, you start out, you have they both have a hero's journey. It's
Right.
a skeletal structure. It's not the themes, and it's the
Oh,
it's
no,
the
it's not. That's
and it's the
where I was like,
characters that are important. But you start out, you have Kirk and you have Luke, and they're both stuck in where they are. Luke's stuck at the farm and he wants adventure. Kirk's stuck at a desk job and he's feeling old and
he's dealing with mortality.
he's dealing with mortality. Then a faraway ally gets captured and tortured for information. Princess Leia gets captured by Vader and gets tortured by the torture droid. Chekhov gets captured by Khan and gets an eel in his ear.
And oh my God, the plans for the rebel base are Genesis.
Very close, yes. So then both of them have to get pushed onto their adventure. Luke gets a partial message from Leia in a droid hologram that starts him off on his journey. And Kirk gets a partial message from Carol Marcus because of the garbled communication. She can't hear him. And that starts him off on his journey.
Who's taking Genesis? Carol, who's taking Genesis?
Who's taking Genesis? So then he has to be pushed. He's like, look, Spock, I won't take the chip. He's like, Jim, take the center chair. You need to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like your father. It's the same beat, right? Ben pushes Luke. I'm blowing your mind here, aren't I?
Right now.
I'm blowing your mind. So then Luke gets on a spaceship and Kirk heads off on a spaceship towards a destination that neither of them get to. Luke wants to go to Alderaan. He finds Alderaan is blowed up, destroyed, and the people are killed, and he ends up trapped on a space station. Kirk goes to a space station that's all its data is wiped and all the people are killed, and he ends up trapped inside a planet. He finds Carol Marcus on the planet and rescues her. Luke finds Princess Leia on the Death Star and rescues her. They both end with a big kick-ass space ship battle, and both of them have to make the last shot and then flee before the spaceship explodes. They both have loss. Kirk loses Spock. Luke loses Ben.
Yeah.
I won't spoil the rest, but if you go through the rest of those two trilogies, the beats are the same. The stories are the same. And my point was, and I'm not sure I made the point as well as I would like.
That's basically classical mythology.
It is both of them follow classical mythology perfectly. And so my point is that it's not that you tell a similar story every time or a similar plot every time, because that happens all the time. And if I give you Star Trek 2 and Star Wars and I show you those beats that you've never noticed before, well, why haven't you noticed them before? Because you care about the characters and you care about the decisions they're making and the growth that they've made. And to me, that is why, more than anything, why everybody is so angry at this deconstruction that everybody's doing with these sequels. And even with the Star Trek, the Kelvin universe, or with Discovery, or with Picard, you're taking these characters that you've watched grow and you want to see them grow to a new level. And instead, we're regressing them back to where they were and then castrating them.
Yeah, you've basically destroyed them. Well, okay, here, I'm going to go out on a limb now then. So, we all know that Master and Commander is basically the greatest Star Trek II remake of all time. Are you now suggesting, in front of 7 billion people, that the Master and Commander trilogy is the Star Wars trilogy?
Could be.
I
haven't watched Master and Commander and I've never read them, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of that going on, and that's okay. What I'm trying to say is that, plots have to make sense. And
No,
hitting the same beats is fine if you make the world different enough, and if you make you care. You got to care about the characters, and you got to make them grow. What Kathleen Kennedy and all these idiot Hollywood people don't understand is that we don't care what Luke looks like. We care what he did, and we care about the choices that he made. And we went up with him, and why they can't figure that shit out, and instead. Well, I know why they're tearing them apart, because, you know, they look too much like you, Whitey. It's just a bunch of racists that are running Hollywood right now, and it's like you don't understand.
It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen is the hatred of the source material.
Yeah.
You're like, we're going to, and there's probably something interesting where you're like, yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take something that everybody knows. We're going to explore a new way of going about it. No, actually what you've decided to do is you're going to just rip it all apart and rebuild it, and everybody can hear your phone conversation across America and the world.
Is she
You're not Apollo over here.
Is she got a client? She run a 900 number?
I don't know what's going on. The whole world's undone. Now I'm getting, who knows what's going on. Oh, it's the Letterman. It's like, hold on a second. Oh, it doesn't even work. Oh, hold on, folks. We have late breaking news here on LMO News.
Uh-oh. Can't afford any sound effects here.
It's to watch Bug's Life. Now back to you. No, anyway. What were we talking about? Oh, what it is, you're taking something that's already known. So you have that built-in audience, which means you're going to make X amount of dollars no matter what you do, because you have that baseline, they're coming no matter what. And we're going in a new way, and it's going to be this really interesting. Now you can take that baseline, you can probably bring it up a couple extra points, because you're going to get curiosity. And they're like, wow.
Force Awakens.
Somebody, so yes.
No, I'm serious. That's Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Then Last Jedi.
Force Awakens is bullshit.
No, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's where they made their bank, on the back of the original trilogy, right?
They hook you. They draw you in. They get you to bite, and everybody's like, "Oh my goodness." They've actually done it. They've actually resurrected Star Wars. We've seen the clips where they're like, "Oh, you've made up for the sequel." Or the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, the prequels did not.
It's like, no, you just made the same thing again.
I will give that the prequels did not just shit on what came before.
No.
I mean, not. I mean, people are, bitching about midi-chlorians and things like that, and I get it, but I don't feel like that was. That's a creative decision that I disagree with, not a big fuck you because we don't like you, Whitey. And we're going to make sure that we ruin the things that you like because we don't like you. We don't like your audience. Like you. No, I mean, one of the guys in the chat, who was it? Baldol. He says, they don't hate the source material, gentlemen. They hate you. No, well, they hate both. They hate the source material because of the people who like it. And they can't connect to it. Because they have this weird cult mentality that nobody can understand but them.
Hashtag bitchin' night. Everybody bitch. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Yep.
We're complaining. It's been a while. We're pent up. We're ready. You know what it is? At first I thought, no, there was no way they hated the people behind the decisions that have been made concerning those two properties in particular. There's no way the people they hired legitimately didn't like it. Because you just look at it as a creative. Why would you do that? Why would you hire somebody who actively doesn't like it? Now, don't understand it. Okay, I get that. You look at the first 3 years of Next Generation. This is people trying to figure out just what the hell it is we're trying to do.
Yeah. And as much as people give Berman shit, the guy resurrected Star Trek. You got to give him that.
Yeah. There was no, and even, Deep Space Nine, and sure. I'm not going with Voyager, but legitimately just didn't like it.
He went too far, but he clearly loved the material.
Yes, but look at it. You spawned a very, very good show.
Mm-hmm.
Deep Space. And Next Gen, when it was rolling, it's rolling.
Sure.
But they didn't take a giant shit and just say, fuck this, we're doing it again. They went in another direction. It's a different kind of style of captain. The Enterprise is not necessarily an Enterprise you recognize, I suppose, if you followed the original or you saw the movies. It looks a little different.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't crap all over it. They didn't rip Starfleet apart. As a matter of fact, Starfleet from Next Generation to Deep Space Nine to Voyager through the movies, most of which are awful, they're still the same characters, more or less acting the same way, except for Picard at certain times. But then you have those other parts realize, oh, this is a one universe. You would have an admiral show up in Next Gen, or a captain show up in Next Gen who's now an admiral or a commander in Deep Space Nine, or he's an admiral in one of the movies. But they managed to keep it all together, so everything was still flowing together. We're moving this. We're going somewhere. You get the reboots. It's like, nah, fuck it. Here, you like loud noises, you piece of shit. Here's loud noises.
I do not understand the Orsi.
It's and now from what I'm hearing about what's going on with the Discovery and whatever the hell it is they're doing now, which I have no desire to watch.
I'm not even watching season 3. I didn't make it through season 2.
Star Trek is not hard. It can be deep, and a lot of it maybe even philosophical. It's really good science fiction. It's what science fiction is supposed to be.
If Seth MacFarlane can do it.
Exactly. I've actually seen one. I'll tell you this. I've seen one of his episodes, and I quite enjoyed it. And I am not a fan of Seth MacFarlane. I don't think his humor is very good. Ted, I was kind of bored. You're just shock humor. I don't really care. American Dad, I think, is awful. But that show is a legitimately good. It's more like a Trek love letter.
Yeah, I mean it's
fine.
It's mostly solid. Yeah, it's mostly solid. It's whenever they did a Bortus episode, I those made me cringe, but the rest of it was pretty good. Have you heard? I mean, is it going to come back? I've heard back and forth, and I've looked around, and I'll do a story on it if I hear. I promise. But
there's yes, it is, and there's no, it's not. And I bet you the no, it isn't is probably pressure from CBS or Viacom or whichever arm owns whatever.
Well, I heard it was going straight to Hulu.
Whoever Star Trek, Les Moonves, or whoever was on his way out. It's just, I mean, that's the other problem with Star Trek. It doesn't have a home. It's being ripped apart like a really nasty paper towel you find in Mexico.
You don't have a subscription to CBS All Access?
Hell no. Not only that, it's apparently on CBS, and it's being beaten by reruns.
Is it really on CBS?
I
did not know that.
Because of my association with Last Movie Outpost, lastmovieoutpost.com. Be sure you like and follow, subscribe. Be sure to check out the website. There's content constantly being updated. You might think movies are dead, but the website is not. It's active. It's fun. It's very funny. Best website in the world. You're going to love the website. It's the best website. Everybody says it's a good website. It's a great website. It's the best website I've ever been to. I've been kicked out of it, a lot of them.
We're doing things that never have been done before. It's tremendous.
We're doing
Nobody's ever seen this before, ever.
But because of my association, I've started following Doomcock and
Midnight's Edge.
Nerdtronic, and I've seen some Midnight's Edge. Not quite my thing. Haven't gotten into it yet, probably. But I'm a big believer in Doomcock. I'm a big follower of Nerdtronic. I like his take, his opinion. I like his point of view. I find it interesting.
I don't like Doomcock's shtick.
Disaster.
Which one?
What were we talking about? Star Trek? Yes. Oh, so Doomcock will do reviews of the Star Trek episodes. I think he's talking about Mandalorian now, but
Is he?
had reviewed Star Trek 9 or whatever the hell it is they're calling it. Apparently it's awful. But they've put it not just on CBS All Access, they've actually put it on CBS Over the Air, which is still around, folks. And it's being beaten by reruns because nobody has anything new to produce. There's reality TV style shows being done, and they're getting like 2 million viewers, and that's winning the night. You remember back in the 90s when somebody would tune in for Seinfeld. Let's look at Seinfeld or ER.
Yeah.
A low night, the ratings were down, and it was like 22 million people.
Oh.
A good 30 million people, whatever it was. Especially that Thursday night must-see TV. I mean, it was... You'll never see anything like that again.
Oh, dude, I remember the 70s. You know,
like 8 people.
If you didn't have 15 million people watching you every night, you were canceled. You were gone.
Yeah.
Because, you had 3 channels.
That out the hard way. I mean, NBC was so good that must-see TV on Thursday night through most of the 90s was so powerful. It paid for the fact that they didn't have to win any other night of the week.
Well, that...
And some night...
What do you think? So the Thursday night NBC started back in 84. You may even say 82 with Cheers. But once Cosby Show, Family Ties, Cheers, and Night Court, that was a powerhouse for like 2-3 years. And then NBC owned Thursday. Through The Office, if I remember. I mean, there was always something on Thursday night.
Ratings collapsed. Yes, I think they were still number 1.
Yeah.
After Seinfeld. Well, that wasn't even after Seinfeld. Well, they tried with Coupling, and they did some other... And it, we basically collectively moved on. We moved into the 2000s. I mean, the world is so different at that point.
They still had Friends till 2003, and Frasier till 2004, and then The Office started in 2004, if I recall. So, I mean, for like 25 years at least, they own Thursday.
They did. You know what? You're right, because I remember they sort of rebranded that must-see TV. I don't know if they called it something else.
No, they called it other stuff. But they didn't call it must-see TV in the 80s either. But Thursday night was NBC's night since Cosby Show came out. And then, I guess they found out that NBC was roofing people and nobody watches it anymore. So,
I mean, you remember, it was The Office and 30 Rock. 30 Rock was actually a pretty good show.
I never liked 30 Rock. I never liked it.
I kind of did. I found it interesting. I thought the cast was good. Alec Baldwin was great. I think Alec Baldwin was absolutely great. The guy can play comedy.
Yeah, he can.
Tina Fey was likable. It was a likable show. It was a nice show. It was just nice. Actually, it's one of the few shows I've seen every episode of. And it was okay, but it pales in comparison to those that came before it. And the ratings showed it.
Oh, sure.
Seinfeld regularly had 20 million people watching it. It's all we talked about Friday morning. I don't know a single person who's seen an episode, except maybe you, who's seen an episode of 30 Rock or even knows what the hell it is.
Let me ask you something. So, I guess that's just kind of, you're kind of getting my noggin jogging here, as they say. Do you think that we've reached peak entertainment? Like, I mean, there's so much that's come out, and you had to put on a pretty high quality show because you had 3 channels, you only had so many channels, and you had to compete. Everybody wanted to put on a show. Now everybody's putting on a show. I mean, we're here on YouTube putting on a fucking show. So, it's, and you. My problem is I watch a movie or I watch a TV show, and I feel like I've, no matter what they do, I've heard it all. Like the most popular thing for a long time until just recently was The Big Bang Theory. It was like the last of the great sitcoms. And other than maybe 2 seasons worth where it was kind of a novelty, it sucked. And I don't know if I mean, I keep waiting for a great. When's the last time you saw a great comedy in the movies? I don't see them anymore. If it wasn't for superhero movies, and after that, what is the new thing that's coming out? What's the thing that's grabbing you? And even if they do come out with something like Game of Thrones, really grab people, right? And then it completely shits the bed for the ending.
Yeah, now nobody wants to act like they've ever seen any of it. Which, for the record, I've never seen any of it. I don't care.
You liar.
I saw Dragonheart. Good enough for me. Sean Connery, rest in peace, played a Scottish lizard. Well, you ain't topping that.
You had swords, you had sorcery, and you had a lot of nudity.
And a Quaid. There was a Quaid in there who acted like a Quaid.
That's right. God, that's probably who we should talk about is Sean Connery. We should go through the Sean Connery stuff. That should be that we could do that through the end of the episode. What do you say?
Probably could, but now I have to answer your question.
Go ahead and answer the question.
Have we reached peak entertainment?
We may be well past it at this point. I don't know.
What else can you do? I think we have. I'm going to say I think we have reached peak entertainment. That doesn't mean we haven't reached peak entertaining, because we are full on. We are reporting LMO news, breaking news. We are balls deep in remakes,
which is really
what
annoying.
You get remakes, you get reimaginings, and then you're a superhero movie. I find superhero comic book movies mostly boring. They'll never top Batman Forever. I don't care who you are. And you didn't laugh. Can you laugh? Please clap. Here's the thing.
You know what? I wasn't listening anymore. I checked out. I was reading. I apologize. I was multitasking, and I get in trouble with this at work too.
Oh, I don't care. But I do think we have reached...
Fair.
I have heard before on either Nerdtronic or somewhere else where I just go around because I'm not watching anything new, but doesn't mean I'm not interested in what people think. Yes, we probably have. You can't do anything now. Somebody's going to probably bring back Dark Shadows at some point, which I've just started recently.
They did. It was a Johnny Depp movie. It sucked.
Oh, that's right. And no. Well, yeah, it's over. Here's the thing, though. I mean, people have moved on. Kids don't come up watching TV. There's no necessarily TV show they can't wait for. Because there was an anticipation. In the old days, you had to wait 7 days to watch the next episode. Didn't matter when it aired. Unless you were Saturday Night Live or The Tonight Show. You had to wait. And now you don't have to. When somebody makes something like outside of maybe Mandalorian or whatever, but if you have a TV show, everything is dumped on you. Here it is, and you can binge watch. Binge watching destroyed it. I think once binge watching became a thing, it was over. Because now you just consume. And there's nothing creative anymore. It's a creative, but there's nothing.
I don't know. I mean, I look at the boys.
But there's nothing that is ballsy and original.
I think the boys does a pretty good job. I don't know if it was as good as last season, but I think it does a pretty good job. And I find myself really annoyed that they didn't dump it on me all at once, that I had to wait every week for the anticipation. But I don't know that means that I would have enjoyed it less if they had just let me binge watch it. I don't feel like being able to watch it at my convenience means that I don't think that has any impact on the quality of the show.
I think we're in that kind of weird zone where we grew up things being a certain way. Like when I was a kid, Mystery Science Theater and the X-Files were my favorite shows. And actually, I really love Sightings, if anybody remembers that.
I do.
But you had to wait for it. And especially when it was episodic TV, like the X-Files, you had to wait. And you got those really great teasers at the end of the episodes. You're like, holy crap, I cannot wait to see what happens there. You don't get that. It's like, moving on. You don't get that anymore, though. I mean, there's no passion.
HBO does.
Take
HBO
away that
does that
back.
with all their shows still. Amazon
Which
did that
Noble-
with theirs. Mandalorian's doing it. So I don't know. Maybe they're bringing it back.
I hope so, because
I just don't see
it's a better viewing sort of
I mean,
way of viewing.
I guess it could go either way. Like if they release it every week, but then it's available for you to binge afterwards, and you wait and see what everybody thinks of it, and then you can binge it later. Is that a problem? I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it.
Nah, you want to wait till it's all out, and then you want to watch it all at once. I guess that's okay. Maybe there's a happy medium of whatever, but I don't think we're ever really going to fully embrace going back to that cliffhangers to end an episode, and you have to wait 7 days to watch it again. Those days are definitely done, which means movies, I think the way things are now, with the fact that movie theaters are over with, movies as an experience are basically done. You're now just going to get loud, flashy shit blasted at you that you can spend $30 on, like Mulan. You can spend $30. You can sit there with the kids on the couch, pause it, go to the bathroom, get popcorn, blah 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 blah. It sort of loses that communal feel, which, whether you like it or not, is sort of a important part. Now, everybody has Amazon, everybody has Netflix, at least for now, where it's like, did you watch that show? And everybody's going to talk. Well, nobody talks to each other without text messaging, but so that will hang on for a little bit. But once that's gone, where do you go? Nowhere. There's nothing left. You're going to video games. I think video games and role-playing crap, something where you can take yourself out of how miserable you've convinced yourself you are in reality, and then just put yourself into a basically a de facto virtual world. That's the next thing.
It is.
It's going to happen whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, I agree. I said peak entertainment. What I should have said was peak storytelling. Because there'll always be stuff with entertainment, but storytelling, I feel like I've seen all the stories sometimes.
Storytelling. I'd be honest with you. I think video games and role-playing virtual reality are going to be the future. You're going to be, instead of watching a character, you're going to be the character. And when you log in, you're going to have, here's the story. And for role playing, it's basically going to be missions and that kind of thing. But
Yeah, it sounds
still
exhausting.
see storytelling taking place in a little bit, at least a little bit.
Sounds exhausting, man. I gotta tell you, I'm an old man. I just want to sit, let the story come into my eyes, fall asleep on the couch, one leg on, one leg off. What's the problem here?
My kids are really into watching Lost right now, just because they think it's interesting that there's a underground base, there was a polar bear, there's all kinds of shenanigans that they're clearly not fully grasping all of it.
Are you waiting for the inevitable? Oh, I can't wait till that season comes up when they're all going to be so disappointed. Watch. I'm going to film the part just when they realize their childhood
like in
died.
The Simpsons, when you see Wiggum's heart, or no, it was Millhouse, when Lisa broke up with him or whatever.
Yeah,
and
Ralph
Wiggum. You can see the moment it was finally broke.
Here's where they realized it was shit.
I actually liked it all. I am on an island by myself, forgive the pun, where I actually liked. I didn't like most of the last season, but
it's the problem.
It's
the ending, isn't it? It's always the ending.
Conclusion. I'm for it. What the hell do you think's going to happen?
It's always the goddamn.
But
ending.
We're doing that, and I like that. Even the thing about watching Lost with the kids is, I guess it's probably just the fact that I know what's coming next, but you get to watch somebody else sort of realize, there's that gradual opening, or not flowering, but there's that slow realization that not everything is what you thought it was, and that's fun to watch. And you're not going to get that with binging. I really don't even think you'll get that with video games. I think video games are probably going to be the dominant form of entertainment. I think they already are. But they've got probably a good 100 years because they're primed to
they got a ways
number
to
one
go.
Take where the technology goes and adapt to whatever wild card comes along.
You know what I'm waiting for? Holodeck.
I was going to say sex robots, but I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure they do. They both will work.
Unless you have
As
that
I
weird
recall,
cross.
Quark sold time in his Hollow Suites.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It was basically
Okay.
they just embrace this. Like, okay, fine, they're fucking brothels. What are we getting here?
Once somebody explains to me in layman's terms, possibly with crayons, blue and red preferred, how a holodeck works, and I have the Enterprise technical manual and I still don't fucking get it.
It's light and force fields. What?
Okay. All right.
Light
Well,
and force fields will make a vagina that you can fuck. That's how it works.
Rationalist Yoda, you rationalized it for me.
Thank you.
It's
By the way, I wanted to show off my new toy here. So I got a new phone. Got a new phone. All right. Seems like a rather ordinary phone, doesn't it? Oh! Look at that! Look at that! It opens.
so you got a pizza box flip phone.
It is a Samsung Z Fold 2. And I tell you, when I'm holding it, when I'm showing it off, I feel like Ferris Bueller when he's driving the Ferrari. If you can get your hands on one, it is so choice.
So chill.
It's really great.
That.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I opened it up, it was like, oh.
That's hilarious. I saw those ones where now they flip up. Basically, you have it's a vertical, smartphone. But
yeah, that one's okay, but it's like you end up with what you had. To me, this is like, I have a phone, I have a tablet. How wonderful is that? So I'm digging it.
Names on the internet, like a book.
That's right. So if you can get one, I highly recommend it. I've been very happy with this one. It's very fast. It does everything I need. Obviously, yes.
Background.
You're killing it. Is that what you're Skyping on?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have an $800 gaming computer that I'm doing that on.
Oh, okay.
You almost missed it. There.
Okay.
There was the beautiful Arizona high country. There it is.
Oh, how
that right
nice.
there is Canyon Lake. Kayaked it. Completely obsessed with kayaking. Star Wars is ruined.
Star Wars is ruined. Let's talk about to close this out, because we've been going at this for 1 hour. We just hit 1 hour, dude. So I would like to wrap this up with talking about the films of a great one that we just lost, Sean Connery. So obviously we could start out with what really put him on the map.
The
And that was
800
James Bond.
Elephant.
So so everybody says Sean Connery is the best James Bond, and I think especially after his death, I don't think anybody would really argue with that. I don't know. I think every James Bond brings his own thing to it, but you can't deny that they all eventually get compared to Connery. Because he set the mold. He set the standard.
He is the prototypical James Bond.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm a big fan of Sean Connery's James Bond. He had an edge. There was a certain amount of almost sexiness about him that I don't think up until you get... I'd have watched you. Up until Pierce Brosnan probably brought it sort of...
I think Timothy Dalton's underrated.
Timothy Dalton is very underrated. I don't think George Lazenby, by the way, didn't do a bad job either, but Timothy Dalton is the James Bond you get with Daniel Craig. But Sean Connery is that prototypical... He is the patient zero of James Bond. And for that, it gives him the edge. I still think he's the best. I think the films he made overall were still the benchmarks. They're the ones that everything else is measured against. And he's still, if I think James Bond right now, I think Sean Connery. I don't think anybody else.
When I look at the James Bond movies, I kind of break them up into two categories. You either have really over the top silly with bizarre gadgets and everything, and that's pretty much the Roger Moore and the Pierce Brosnan eras. And then insanely nuts.
Second halves of both.
And then you have too edgy or too much, and that would be Timothy Dalton and Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
I think the Connery ones straddled that balanced that perfectly. You had the fun gadgets and everything, but it never went too far. But he had that edge, like you said, that hard edge that a Craig or even a Dalton had that kept it grounded and never got too silly. But it felt grounded. It felt like his had a lot more gravitas to him, but that they had the fun as well. And the other ones either went too far one way or the other. That's just how I see it.
Sean Connery had that sort of disarming look about him. That look and almost smile, especially like Dr. No or Goldfinger, where
pity I wasn't invited.
The way he looked at you, the way he was perfectly calm, and he was very charming because he knew in a heartbeat he would kill you.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't even think. Sean Connery, it's in his face. He really just sells it in the way he just looks so disarming.
Well, take
but
him...
at the same time, it's still a massive physical threat. Just because Sean Connery knew how to fight somebody.
Take the way he's like, it's the most iconic. Like when they show it, like the first time he said Bond, James Bond, it's the most iconic, and every other one after that always feels like they're trying to say it the way Connery said it. Trying to do it in a way like they're trying to do a James Bond impression. And I'm not saying that they didn't do it well or they didn't, but he came across as, I'm an agent, this is my name, and just the way he was able to deliver the line made it iconic that everybody else was chasing, right? So,
and I
think that's why everybody says he's the greatest.
I'm going to agree with you. I think probably that alone probably sells it. Roger Moore, the movie escapes me now. He got close to that. You're like, he's
Spider
James
Love
Bond.
Me.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, that was the best one.
Pierce Brosnan got it in
maybe GoldenEye.
Oh, GoldenEye, because that was his best. Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough. Those are really, really great action films from the 90s.
Yeah, they're very 90s.
It don't necessarily fit. They're very 90s. But I'm going to go, was it World Is Not Enough came first, right? And
no,
then
GoldenEye
Tomorrow Never.
Oh, I know that. Of those two? Which was the one with Michelle Yeoh? I think that's the one that came first.
You might be right. But in one of those, he really nailed it again. Because he did it in GoldenEye, but he nailed it again. And I think Daniel Craig at the end of Casino Royale. And maybe it's just the way it was all built up right to that moment. So you had that anticipation, the fact that he nailed the James Bond. I'm going to give that one, it was solid. Because Casino Royale actually was really good anyway.
I really like the Daniel Craig ones. Very, very much. But I can understand why people don't feel like those are James Bond movies. Or they don't. They're very gritty spy movies. And I guess that works more for me when I see James Bond in Moonraker. I mean, that movie I'm sorry. Oh God, it's so bad. And
not a bad film, but it's like, oh my God, James Bond shouldn't be doing this because Star Wars did.
Yeah, and the whole Jaws thing where he meets the girl with the pigtails and they fall, the whole thing just I don't know. It or Octopussy or some of these others with the yo-yo saws. I mean, they went into silliness so much, and I guess I have a problem with those more.
I'm with you. That's always been the problem with the Roger Moore era, is that clearly towards the end you became sort of a madcap film.
Yeah,
started emphasizing the crazy
way
gadgets.
Too old.
It's like, just don't do that. So they course correct, and you go that hard. Well, we're just going to make these gritty, violent films, and it didn't necessarily work either. I think both of them are perfectly fine films. There's nothing wrong with them.
The Dalton ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially with Timothy. I think
I really like The Living Daylights. I don't know. I think it's a good film.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
And then you had that restart of Pierce Brosnan finally gets Bond, and it's we're going to go a little more Sean Connery for the first one. And then, it's the 90s. Everything gets blown up. And we have huge set pieces. But they were executed so well, it wasn't that big a deal.
No, it's true.
Now
I mean, it's not that they didn't execute this stuff really well. It's just, I don't know. When I watch a spy thriller, I guess I expect a lot more low-key, more subtle stuff, which is probably why I like the Dalton stuff, the Connery stuff, and the Craig stuff a lot more than I do the Moore and the Brosnan stuff. You know, and it's not that I hate those. There's nothing wrong. I mean, they're fine. It's just...
I have something for you if you're interested. Maybe you heard of it, maybe you haven't. There was Thames, I think, is that British production company.
Thames.
They called it.
They don't pronounce the A. They don't pronounce the H. And I got corrected on it so much, so you get to share my pain.
Created the language, they can't get it right.
So it's fucked up language.
There was a mini-series back in, I want to say, the 80s, starring Sam Neill. And the series was called Riley, Ace of Spies. And it's actually based on a true story. And I want to say it's about 10 parts, where Sam Neill plays an actual British spy. His name was Sidney Riley. And he worked for the British government. And it was in the years between finding basically oil in Persia all the way up to when Russia capitulated and surrendered in the First World War. And it follows his career through there. And he was more or less instrumental in getting British concessions for oil in the Middle East, the rebuilding of the Russian fleet after the disaster in the Russo-Japanese War, which, if there are any history fans, you should definitely look that up. It's very interesting. Uh-huh. But he was essentially working for a German, he was a British agent working for a German shipping company trying to sell the Russians German battleships while giving plans to the British just in case war started. And he profited millions of dollars, and he was a part of a group during the First
Sounds
War.
Like an episode of Three's Company, but go ahead.
And he's a part of a group during the First World War when the Tsar abdicates and Russia is descending into violence and chaos. And he's a part of a group that actually tries to take the reins of the Russian government, more or less like the Kerensky government, who was the provisional president after the Tsar, keeping the Russians in the war, which of course got him out of power.
Sure.
He was trying to take the government back and make massive sums of money. I mean, he was always in it for the money. He was never really in it for king and country. But it is fascinating, and it is actual spying. And I mean, there's you got the romance angle, and you've got
what's it called again? What's the title again?
Riley, Ace of Spies.
Riley, Ace of Spies. I'll look it up. Maybe it'll be on BBC America or something like that.
I don't know if it is. I've been looking for years.
I had streaming or something.
You used to, actually, as a matter of fact, you used to be able to find it on YouTube.
I'll take a look.
Not super great quality, but it's
Well, it's got to be
worth
the
watching.
80s, I would assume. Maybe it was the 90s.
I won't say mid 80s. I want to say early to mid 80s because
Yeah.
Sam Neill is a young looking guy.
Yeah.
He's actually he's phenomenal. He's brilliant as Riley. And
Now-
if anybody's interested, you should look up Riley. The history.
Baldo does make a very good point here. Sean Connery was not in Cannonball Run or Cannonball 2 like Roger Moore. So, you got to give him that one.
But he was in Zardoz.
I was going to ask about so after he doesn't want to do James Bond anymore. So he decides to put on a red diaper and get guns out of a giant floating head.
Yeah.
I don't
Makes perfect sense.
I never saw that movie actually. I've seen enough of it because of if you're into movies and you're into these kind of sites, somebody talk about it or something. I've never actually seen the movie, but I'm very curious about it. I need to take the time and watch it.
It has to be seen to be believed. It's not. My recollection of it is not the crazy, out of left field, what the hell is going on movie. It's a legitimate storytelling. It's a legitimate motion picture. It's not drive-in fare, let's say.
Sure.
So it's actually kind of good. Will tell you one thing. It is 100% entertaining. It is not boring. So you have to watch it for that.
There
But at
definitely
the same
was
time,
no
there's
studio
floating
meddling
head.
in that one.
There's a floating head. You can't argue with it. And plus he's got this really great mustache.
I saw that's when he started embracing his bald.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I really liked so some of the stuff he did early on. Now I have to say that probably my first, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but the first time I saw Sean Connery was when he played Agamemnon in Time Bandits.
Let's for a minute just talk about how brilliant Time Bandits is.
Oh, it's
One
fantastic.
of the movies of my childhood. I absolutely love Time Bandits. Not only is he's also the fire chief at the end or something. Like
Yeah, he
that,
is.
Right?
He is. He is the fire chief. That's right.
I think that movie is so brilliant. And it's back when you could make sort of dark children's films. And I think it is.
Hey, Clash
if you like
of the
the
Titans.
Goonies and you don't like Time Bandits, I got no time for you.
Clash of the Titans had full frontal nudity and it was PG. So everybody, the 80s rocked, okay?
Jaws had a guy eaten in half and it was PG, so,
That's right.
Man up, kids. World's a dark place.
That's right. But I love Time Bandits, and then I'm trying to think of stuff they did in the 80s that I still go back to or that I watch, and I should just bring up his damn IMDb here. Hold on, let me bring up the Wikipedia. So, Sean Connery. Yeah, he's at the top of the search list because everybody went searching for him.
Yep.
Wikipedia, filmography. Okay, let's take a look here and see what we got. Okay,
You know what I'll say?
Of course, so we'll get past that. Diamonds Are Forever, Zardoz. He did Murder on the Orient Express. He did
Great movie.
Ransom, known in some countries as The Terrorists. I've never seen it. The Wind and the Lion. The Man Who Would Be King. That's supposed to be a pretty good one. I've never seen it. But,
Very good movie.
Robin and Marion.
Don't
A
remember that
Bridge Too Far. Forgot about that one. That's a
one of the
classic.
quintessential war films.
Yeah. The First Great Train Robbery. Meteor. I remember Meteor.
Oh, Meteor. You mean
remember
the
Meteor.
prequel to Armageddon?
Something like that.
No,
yeah.
No, I was thinking of something else. Never
No,
mind.
this is 79. It was one of those disaster movies that, oh, Jesus. Why can't I remember? It's hell getting old. The guy was in the Planet of the Apes. Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston was always doing those damn movies.
Great. Go away. I don't care what anybody says.
Cuba, Outland. I really liked Outland. Outland was that science fiction movie where he's on this space station on a faraway planet.
Uh, Peter Hyams film or something
You got
like
it.
that, right?
Peter Hyams, very good.
Shotgun. Great
Yep.
film.
Yeah, I like that film a lot.
Usually, this is better than it should be. Quality good.
He did that the same year he did Outland, so two classics right there. 83 did Never Say Never Again, which I believe is kind of a pseudo remake of Thunderball. There's a weird story with all that.
But it's a fun film. Yeah.
Stark could tell that story pretty well, or maybe Ben could, because those two, they have a James Bond. Pretty
By
sure
the way,
a
the
fetish.
perfect opportunity to check out last movie Outpost and look at their conversations on the James Bond novels. It's an ongoing series. It's fantastic.
I'm going to start putting you in charge of marketing because we need some help in that department.
Oh yeah, guys want to see a bunch of dicks? You looked at me at the perfect time.
Ooh. Oh, 86 Highlander.
Classic, all-time classic. I don't care.
Although I gotta love what Greg, the guy who has the show, the late night show, Craig Ferguson.
Ferguson. I don't know these people anymore.
But he's like, why is Sean Connery playing a Spaniard in Highlander? What and then teaching a Scotsman who's being played by a Belgian guy, and he's in there. He's going, "Oh, look at this! What is this place you call Scotland? I've never seen any place like this in my homeland of Spain. It's just wonderfully foggy." It's like, yes, this is my home, Scotland. I don't know. It is a little bizarre.
If you don't like Highlander, you just forget it.
You got to.
If you
there can be only one.
You can't embrace.
He sounds
That's
like
a great film. I don't care what it says.
It's so funny. This he sounds like Redfield. There can be only one. So it's great.
Let's
casting.
not forget Sean Connery's all-time, probably the greatest Russian accent I've ever heard on film.
Hunt for Red October. Well, you've skipped a few good ones. The Untouchables.
Go ahead. Great film.
Great film. Presidio. Pretty good. Solid. Indiana Jones and Last Crusade.
Overrated.
I disagree. Especially after Crystal Skull, you're like, God damn, that's it. I think Last Crusade.
For me, I don't. It's not that I don't love Last Crusade. I absolutely do, but at the same time, you know what? Crystal Skull ain't as bad as people make it out to be, aside from a couple of things. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. You can't fight Nazis forever. So this is my last show on LMO. It's been fun. You should check out that up over here. Check out our Patreon. Look out Drunk Rationalist Yoda's.
Why is the rum gone?
Do we need to get another one to complete this?
No, he's not okay, folks. A person does not say that Crystal Skull is a solid movie and is okay. Clearly, the Arizona heat is getting to him.
It's perfectly serviceable.
Let's see. Hunt for Red October. Highlander 2, The Quickening.
I'm going to be kicked off this broadcast.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He was King Richard the Lionheart at the end. There's another one with the accents.
Thankfully, I don't know anybody who actually likes Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, so I don't have to have that argument.
I do kind of like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
There's nothing about it that's enjoyable, other than all the fun it provided for Hot Shots Part 2.
I actually like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, but I don't defend it. I'll give you that. But I do like it. Maybe because of when I saw it. I don't know. Medicine Man. I don't remember that. I mean, I remember it. I remember him saying, I found a cure to the scourge of the 20th century and now I've lost it. Rising Sun, Good Man in Africa, Just Cause, First Night, Dragonheart, The Rock.
First Night was the Braveheart was really, really popular. What do we have on the shelf? Let's get Sean Connery to be King Arthur.
Yeah.
Get Richard Gere on.
Yeah.
Not a very good movie.
No. The Rock, though.
Oh, forget it. One of my favorite films of the 90s. One of the best action films ever made.
Yeah. And
just introduced
Michael Bay's been coasting on it ever since.
Yep.
The Avengers. Not the one with Robert Downey. The one with
Uma
Thurman.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not great.
No. Entrapment.
Not great.
The only thing I remember about Entrapment...
Talk about how good that poster was.
Yeah. I was going to say, the only thing I remember about Entrapment was Catherine Zeta-Jones' fine ass trying to get under that yarn when she was practicing to get under the lasers. That's the only thing I remember about that.
But it was not a bad film either. Can I get another one?
Finding Forrester, which I believe gave us the wonderful meme, "You're the man now, dog."
Yes.
And then...
Not a bad, actually. Sort of riding on the coattails of Good Will Hunting, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And then finally, the movie that basically got him to say, fuck Hollywood, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I was never familiar with the comic book, quite honestly, but I was excited to see... He played what? Alan Quatermain?
Yeah.
Quatermass.
Quatermain.
There's Quatermass was somebody else, right? Quatermass in the Pit, one of the great films of all time. Or 10,000 Years to Earth. I don't know. Either way, we're going back. Try and keep up. I've done a lot of cocaine today.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you're just making up shit now, but go ahead.
There's a really good... Now I'm going to talk about it. There's a really good... 10 million years to Earth, 10,000 years to Earth.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
In a British tube, they're building another railway tunnel, and they find an old, basically crashed out alien craft or whatever it is. They look like crickets, and it unleashes the devil over that stupid clock tower they have over the Parliament building.
Big Ben.
Sorry to all our British friends, but we kicked you out in 1783, and I haven't cared since.
Yeah, our one of our illustrious, and I won't embarrass him, but he posted today in one of our private discussions about his lineage, which goes back to all these different British kings and queens and everything. And I said, you keep saying British royalty, but my ears keep hearing incest. So I don't know. I mean. Inbreeding. That's what you keep saying it, but that's what I keep hearing. I'm sorry.
You're related to yourself. That's awkward.
It's probably a stroke. I don't know.
We're just waiting for him to put his cup of tea down so we can toss it into the harbor.
Yeah, well,
a million years to Earth or whatever it was, a really good film. Alan Quatermass. It might be Quatermass in the Pit. It's a very good British horror film, as a matter of fact.
Well, we'll have to look it up, and maybe...
But League of Extraordinary Gentlemen had a Nautilus that didn't look like the Nautilus, and it somehow went up around like Venice or whatever it was, and how does a submarine change this size like Godzilla 98 did?
I did read the comic book when I heard about the movie coming out. I would, a lot of times I'd say, they're based on... Well, let me go read the source material, because I wasn't familiar with it either. And I really liked the source material. And then I went and saw the movie, and I went, what the fuck?
The series is actually probably pretty good.
It is. It's Alan Moore.
It's like something that should be really... Alan Moore is actually... He did From Hell, and From Hell was actually really good. The movie is god-awful.
Yeah. I think... Let's see. Well, he's done so much, Of course, the Watchmen, and a lot of people say, well, the movie's good. It's just like the comic. I was like, yeah, is it? Yes, it is. But no, it's not.
It's got the characters. They're doing things in the city they're supposed to be, but it's the JFK of adaptations.
Yeah, my problem with it is that they make the characters just it's the typical Zack Snyder bullshit. I'm making them look cool and slow motion and all that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure the point of Moore's book is that, no, these guys weren't cool. They were broken and kind of pathetic. And plus the interesting stuff that was going on behind the scenes and how broken the world would be if we actually had these people. Like, you know the notes, but you can't play the melody properly. It's just.
Is it like taking an anti-hero and making them a hero?
I suppose. I mean, I'm kind of. I was disappointed, I gotta say. So I don't hate the Watchmen movie because it is pretty much the story, but I don't find myself picking it up and watching it that much. So if you love it, God bless you.
For the years, I started it and stopped it. Same with almost everything. I'm not a Zack Snyder fan, to say the least.
No. Well, are you going to watch the Justice League Snyder Cut? Oh, I've got to watch it. Not because I expect it to be awesome or anything. I
tell you, can we do like a live cast where with the green screen, it's the actual? We'd probably get sued for it, but
we'll
fuck
get
it, let's
sued
do
for
it.
that. But we could do a we could watch it and yeah, we can wait till all 4 episodes come out.
Synchronize our periods.
We can wait till all 4 episodes come out and do a 4-hour live stream. Watch it all together.
Episodes now? I thought it was 2.
4 hours, baby.
I don't know if I have time for 4.
Well, why don't we break it up into 2? We'll break it up into 2.
If you want to do that, I am game. Let's go. I'll go down that road because I hated Justice League.
I did too, and I'm really interested. Look, if somebody's going to schedule a train wreck, I've got to be there.
I just will be on time.
That's right. If you're going to schedule this nightmare,
I'll be part of the Last Movie Outpost, by the way. LastMovieOutpost.com. Check it every day. We have content constantly updated. Not from me because I'm lazy and I can't do it half the time. But we've got a really good writers. We have new writers coming on almost every day, as a matter of fact. They're bringing in really good content, really good articles. Best articles you're going to find anywhere on the internet. They're not even about movies half the time.
Nope.
Check it out.
If you want to reach us, what's the email address?
Find us now. Last Movie Outpost at AOL.com, or are we doing Yahoo?
God, you shit the bed.
Or is it at freedom.us?
Let's try that again. Contact us at lastmovieoutpost.com. You can reach us on Twitter at movieoutpost, or even myself at drunkenyoda1. You can even email me directly, drunkenyoda at lastmovieoutpost.com. I don't know why you'd want to, but that option is there for you. And we have an Instagram at Last Movie Outpost, our Facebook /Movie Outpost. So please come on by, like, subscribe, share. Please leave comments down on this video. Please hit like, share, subscribe. Get this out there because we need all the help we can get. And the more you like, the more you share, the more you subscribe, the more it helps us out. We do have a subscribe star, and if you go to the website, there is a PayPal if you'd like to donate. But if you don't, just turn off your ad blocker or hit that like button. If you really don't like us, hit that dislike button twice because you dislike us twice as much. But if clicking that like button is just too much, it's just too much to ask. If clicking share to whatever social media you have is just too much of a hassle, we'll take money. So whatever works for you, we'll take it. We love doing this. It is a work of love. We hope to make it big. And quite frankly, we want to get on Rotten Tomatoes, and we want to be the guys that will not give a good review to Cooties. So we feel like our opinions are needed on that damn tomato meter. What's that?
Don't be a dick.
We are going to be the I guess the contrarians on Rotten Tomatoes because they really need it. So
I feel like we're probably the greatest website in the universe.
Yeah, I mean, Multiverse may be pushing it.
We're more informative than Drudge Report. Shots fired.
The Drudgery Report.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much, all of you all that were watching, listening. playing this back. It'll be up on the website. It'll be out there on YouTube. Contact us, be a part of it, and thank you very much for being a part of it. Dom, you got anything else?
I miss Ray.
Okay, I understand. It's okay. You'll be all right.
On that, check out our. We have shirts, apparel. We have a lot of gifts. You want a beer koozie? We have that. If you want somebody to call you on your birthday, give us $50. Send it to my house. I'll give you my address in the comments section. Make sure it's in American currency.
Okay, so I'm going to get on with our lawyers because you've lied to everybody, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. So we'll get there someday, though. We are going to try to do that. I would love to wear a Last Movie Outpost shirt, and I think we had started to, and I don't know what happened with that. Mostly because I had my nervous breakdown trying to fix the site.
Oh, hey, nervous breakdowns are good. Let's talk about that.
No.
Was it fun? Was it like the nervous breakdowns I have had?
You know, you wake up in front of, a sheriff's office somewhere in Cleveland with unexplained chest wounds. It's typical. The usual stuff. So, nothing to write home about.
Dusty street in Mexico.
All right, Dom. Thank you very much. This has been fun. It's been too long, but hopefully we will get these back on a rhythm again now that we've got our back end work done.
If there's anybody out here and you hear this, we are the Last Movie Outpost. Signing off.